What's up, guys? I hope you are doing incredible. I'm Dr. Nissa Holmes, the host of the Dentalflix Uncut podcast. And I'm here today with Craig Stevens, who is with Perio Protect. And we're here today to talk about number one, how can we provide better care for our patients in the hygiene department? And for those who are looking to understand how to incorporate new technology and new services in hygiene, to really expose you to this incredible product that I have been a fan of for years. And so excited to have you, Craig. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am super excited to be here and a huge fan of Delivering Wow. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. So some people have heard of Perio Protect. Of course, I'm speaking all over the place, and I talk about how do you grow your business, how do you grow your practice, how do you grow your revenue, and so I talk about Perio Protect as a huge way that you can grow your hygiene department. But why I'm really excited about it is more than that piece of it, although that happens as well. It's really about how do we create a program for patients who have perio, right? Like that's really
Yeah.
what I'm most passionate about because like even in my own practice, we are have been using for years, and it is phenomenal what happens when patients are able to be on this program to be able to, number one, do a better job for our hygienists when they're able to do scaling and root planing, first having these perio trays, like just being able to do a better job because there's less bleeding, less inflammation. But also what's interesting as well is that when I'm teaching this concept, I'm like, every medical condition, major one, there's some sort of maintenance program or recare. Like you're on diabetes, like you're taking insulin, you're on high blood pressure, right? There's high pressure medication. And it's really interesting and fascinating that with periodontal disease, oftentimes it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna let it just build up again. Let's just
Yeah.
let you keep going and get out of control again. And then we'll just do something to try to get you back, right? Like, which
Yeah.
doesn't really make much sense. And so that's why I'm such a huge fan. And when I teach doctors about how to incorporate it, I'm like, now patients who have perio, they'll value it more because they understand that this is something that you don't just clean up. It's something they're going to have for their life. And this is how we're going to help keep you healthy and help, allow you to be able to maintain health. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit more about like what is Perio Protect? Um, how is it, used? What does that even mean
Yeah.
for practices who haven't heard about it?
Yeah, for sure. So, uh, what you said is all true. And I just want to start by saying, periodontal patients, it's kind of like they come into the office and all of a sudden they have this sentence where all of a sudden you have to come to the office more often, and then you're kind of down on this train where you're bleeding and you're infected, and then you're flossing and brushing sometimes, and you're doing all the things that the clinician asks you to do, but you're not getting better, right? Because there's still an untreated infection underneath the gums that we can't reach at home, so that we don't have a tool, toothbrush, rinse, and floss, water pick, and all the things that we're using right now, they're only going to go a couple millimeters deep. And as we know, the periodontal pocket goes much deeper than that. So when patients go home, even the most diligent patients really just don't have that good of a chance of taking care of that infection at home. So they're in a tough spot. And that puts the hygienist in a tough spot and the team in a tough spot because we're suggesting things, they're doing the things, but we're not getting better. So let me just segue that into what Perio Protect is, just to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about here. So we make, we're very focused on non-invasive dentistry. We make a very specialized custom tray. And the tray has the reason the tray is special, and every time I say tray, people are like, what? A tray? This is what you're talking about that's so magnificent? I'm like, well, let me give me some time here. So it's got this internal peripheral seal that goes all the way along the edge of the tray, and it has a little extension on the tray that's a little bit taller than any other tray. And the reason why that is so important is because the whole purpose of the tray is to deliver and hold medication under the gum line. Okay, so the tray is a delivery device. It's meant to push medication into the periodontal pocket. Now, That's great, but what are we going to use to treat the infection? So our other product, it's called Perio gel. It's a 1.7% hydrogen peroxide gel. You heard me correctly. I said hydrogen peroxide, right? We're using something that the age-old hydrogen peroxide. But what's really special about hydrogen peroxide is that there's no bacteria that are resistant to hydrogen peroxide. It's amazing. So when you get oxygen daily underneath the gums at home, then you're killing that bacteria on a daily basis. And our research shows that the trays can get the medication and that oxygen up to 9 millimeters deep. So now we have a solution that patients can take home that really helps kill that bacteria underneath the gum line. Not only that, but helps freshen their breath, and you also get some whitening from it as well. So it's just a great, great adjunctive treatment to if you're doing scaling and root planing in the practice, or just for preventative reasons. If you're kind of heading the wrong direction, I use perio trays preventatively, because I just, and I don't bleed when I floss or when I brush anymore. So it's just a great, great option. It's super easy. You just scan the patient with your scanner or you take an impression. We've got a lab, we make the trays, we ship them back to you. It's all boxed up and ready to go. So custom tray delivery at home for
Yeah.
the patient.
And what I love about it is a couple things. Number one is the result, right? Like it's pretty incredible, right? Just before even doing scaling and root planing, just debridement, right? So
Yep.
debridement, you're wearing the trays, and I've heard you share, you pop them in when you're in the shower, so that
Yep.
becomes your habit there, right? So now it's really simple, and all of a sudden you're not having the bleeding and you're not having the puffiness, right? So again, the hygienist can do a better job, but then also the maintenance after, right? Like that to me is huge. And as we start getting into, why would why would a hygienist want to do it and all the things, right? And I hear that sometimes too. It's like, number one, like, we're here to be healers,
Hmm.
right? And so we want to give people the best opportunity to be healthy and to heal. And so if we are healers, which we are, then we want to make sure that we are giving people the best, right? And so some of the resistances that I hear, right? Because I speak a lot, and I do speak a lot, and I include Perio Protect when I'm speaking as something that I really feel is important. And even within our coaching program, we've got tons of practices that are using it.
Hmm.
Is that the question becomes, well, our patients are going to pay for it, or how much does it cost, or these sort of questions, right? And I know most of our doctors are charging $700 or $800 for this particular um, program
Hmm.
for their patients, right? And I don't say a product, I say program, right? This is a program to help them get healthy. And then becomes, well, the questions are, well, are people going to pay for that? Right. And so I'd love to just kind of share with you what's been our experience. And I truly believe, and I think I've shared this before, you've heard me say this, is that, we've all heard this thing that people don't value perio. Like, for those who are listening, have you heard that? Or maybe you've said that, like, people don't value perio, right? I truly believe it's because we charge too little, right? Like, if
Yeah.
periodontal disease is really um what it is, right? Is it's a disease, it's an infection, it's going to go in there and eat away our bone and make the teeth look long and make you look old, long in the tooth, if you've heard that term. But not
Yeah.
only that, like, people that during COVID, people that didn't make it, many of them unfortunately, they had periodontal disease, right? They couldn't heal. And so their immune system was compromised, right? And so
Hmm.
when we start talking to patients, like, if somebody told me that there was something wrong with my heart and I had to pay $1,000 for being able to get healthy with my heart, either it's not that important or the doctor's not that good, right? And
Right.
so it's really very interesting when you really think about it. When I ask doctors, like, well, how much are you charging for periodontal treatment, right? And it's like, oh, $800, $1,200. And I'm like, well, that's why no one really thinks it's that serious if you really think about it, right?
Yeah.
And so for
Hmm.
me, talking to a patient is more like, is it okay if I'm real with you what I see, right? Especially if you see their
Yeah.
medical history. Like what matters to you most? Is it your health? Yeah, great. Well, is it okay if I share with you what I see? Yes. Well, here's a reality, right? So there's infection, there's inflammation, there's bleeding. But what I'm most concerned about is that you've got periodontal disease. It can make you long in the tooth. But what I'm most concerned about is that it can lead to this medical condition and look, all of the other medical conditions. And I'm concerned. And so we've got to do something, right? And so what does that mean? First, we're gonna give you these trays. You're gonna wear them for a couple of weeks, and then we'll come in and we'll just like you're having a cleaning, or having a filling. You'll be a little numb, and we'll clean below the gums, and then we'll have a maintenance. We'll have a program for you, just like diabetes. There's a maintenance. There's a maintenance for this, and the truth is, this is something that you're gonna have to live with. Right. And
Hmm.
so this is what we're going to do to be truthful with people. And nothing that I'm saying is not incorrect. Right. And so then it becomes, well, what's the value of that? Will we pay 5K, to be honest, docs, like to straighten our teeth? Like we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Right. So like, would we be okay charging 5K to help keep people's teeth? Like, I'm going to say this, and don't judge me, but like I grind my teeth and I don't wear a mouth guard. Right. And I've a couple times had dreams where like my teeth are like falling out. I'm speaking on stage and you're like, something's going on with your teeth.
It start falling out of your face.
Teeth are falling out. Right. So it's like, that was like traumatic. Right. So I can only
Yeah.
imagine. I've never been in that situation, but I can now only imagine how it would feel to not have, right? And so how embarrassing, how shameful, how, to not just have that, right? And so I don't want that. And so our patients don't want that. So would we be okay with charging 5K? And the doctor's like, now I get it. I'm like, you don't have to charge 5K, right?
Right. Right.
But
It's just,
now would you be
yeah.
okay now that you understand the value of what we're doing? Would you be okay with like 2,500? Does that make you feel better? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, we'll just charge that to be able to get people healthy. And the good thing is insurance is going to cover some of it, which would be scaling and root planing. And then we've got the trays, right? But like I just want to share this because I'm so heartfelt about speaking about Perio Protect because, again, what it's done for my doctors in my coaching program, my own practice in terms of patients, and of all of the partners that we've worked with, like throughout the years, and we've had many, like we have a very, very strong relationship with Perio Protect, which I mean, I know but there's a reason for that. And the reason why, is that I can vouch for you,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and it's not about, oh, let me just, because it's easy for people to say, oh, I want to get on your podcast or, but I can only talk for people that I can vouch for, right?
Hmm.
And I continuously can vouch for you guys, and not only with the product, but how you treat the doctors and teams
Hmm.
in terms of taking care of them and making sure that they have good education and good customer support, which is another part of, as a doctor, having sometimes to work with companies. Sometimes it's not that great experience, right? And
Yeah.
so I just want to thank you for what you've done, and for me, this is a no-brainer, like a matter of, go and get the training. It's online. It's really simple. You send it a scan. And so it doesn't even, the learning curve is so easy. Like you don't even have to go and
Yeah.
spend a lot of time and, taking trips to learn how to do it. You can integrate it
No.
in really like right away.
Yeah. And the training, I mean, the training's free, right? And so, and that's through delivering wow, right? I mean, so the reason we love you so much is that there's the practices that come already have this mindset that you're talking about. We're talking about whole body health. We're talking about the oral systemic connection. We're already on the same page with this and why it's so important, right? So that's why we offer, we usually charge for our trainings because we have coaches that come in and sit in with the offices on a meeting and we go through those periodontal protocols because a lot of offices don't have perio protocols. And we give offices ideas on how that might look in the practice, if whether that means scaling and root planing with Perio Protect or whatever, we sit down and we get down to brass tacks on that. So um, I think, and when you were speaking, I was just thinking about this for the hygienist. Just imagine a patient that comes in and has a bunch of supergingival calculus, right? And you're like, and scraping that off, and how tough of a procedure that is, usually tough on the body. There's blood. It's just a mess. If you get patients in perio trays before that, what's cool about hydrogen peroxide is it breaks down the protein chains in calculus, and it imagine like putting a dish that you used and let sit there for a couple days. Doesn't happen at my house, I promise. But if you but if you put water in there and let it sit for a little bit, it's so much easier to get all that stuff off. That is really what it is with Perio Protect. So it just makes everything easier. And think about your restorative work, your implants, right? If we're dropping implants in and they're paying however much they are for an implant, wouldn't we do whatever we could to protect the margins on that implant? There's no way they can keep those threads clean or as clean as they need to be. So PeriProtect can help with that as well. So there's all different ways in your practice that you can introduce this thing. It can start with perio maintenance patients. And, we always say start 2 times a day wearing the trays, once in the morning, once in the evening, and then drop them down to 1 time a day, like you were saying, in maintenance. And what that does is that keeps that disease arrested, right? Just keeps it at bay. We're keeping the bacteria down. We're not bleeding. And we get a patient from very unhealthy to a place of health. And who knows the impact that's going to have on the rest of their body, right? I mean, sometimes it's just the cases I see come through my office are just insane. It's so exciting. So,
I absolutely love that. So, I think the best way for people to learn is to reach out to you. I mean, it's really so easy
mhm.
to integrate in, go in, get the training for your teams. I have practices that, again, we work with, and the very next month, they're already seeing cases, right? And, I've
Yep.
seen doctors between, month 1 and month 3. I remember one of our doctors, she went from doing 8 cases to 18 cases uh, a month. And she was like, yeah, we had to beg them for more boxes, right? And I was just like, you guys are something else, right? But it's
So,
because they believe in it, right? So what would be the next step if you guys are curious right now? Like, I want to learn more about this and how to get started. What would be the next step?
yeah, just go to periprotect.com/get started. That's what you're going to do. Periprotect.com/get started. And there's a form on there. It just asks, it's like first name, last name, email, all the basic information. And you fill out that form, and then you'll get a call from me that says, hey, let's set up this training. We'll pick a time and day. And then we'll sit down with your team and we'll talk a little bit deeper about your practice, your specific needs. Every practice is a little bit different. So we sit down and kind of cater that training and help you set up Perio Protect in your office. And something that I wanted to mention real quick is that Perio Protect involves virtually no doctor time. So that's why it's such an interesting product on the hygiene side, because it's a lot of the team is running this, which is good because hygienists are really passionate about this. The people who I'm talking to who are super passionate about PeriProtect are the hygienists, because it really affects their lives on a day-to-day basis and helps their patients on a day-to-day basis. And they're seeing those results all the time when their patients are coming in. So for something, and when you're talking about margins in a practice, when you have such little doctor time, this is just such a great way to get some revenue in the business as well. While it's a win-win for the practice and the patient, right? So perioprotect.com/get started is where you want to go. That way you can sign up. I can get your information. You can get my information. We can start becoming friends. And I'll call your practice and we'll get in touch, and we'll talk about how to get this going in your practice.
I love it. I love it, Craig. Thank you so much for being on. We get to see each other a lot when I'm speaking. He's normally with me because I'm like, you
Yeah.
guys need to go talk to him out there and look at those trays, right? So I'm excited to see you at our Delivering Well Summit. Thank you so much for taking time to be here
Oh
and
yeah.
share with everyone. You're doing amazing. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for being a part of our Dental Flicks Uncut community. And I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Anissa. I appreciate it.
You've just unlocked valuable insights with Dental Flicks Uncut. But there's more. Dental Flicks is not just a podcast, it's a thriving community, a hub of knowledge, and the #1 online streaming CE platform in dentistry. With just a few clicks, you can start exploring scheduling, hiring, weekly marketing calls, insightful gap assessments, and scorecards, all designed to help you master what you discovered today and propel you further on your path to dental excellence. Head to dentalflix.com to get started for free and embark on your journey towards mastery. Thanks for tuning in to Dental Flix Uncut. See you next time.